And we're back, and this time we are looking at everything that is available to you guys on Freeview, and there is, as ever, a whopping selection to keep you very much entertained. We're going to kick off with a marvellous start to the week. Oh, I'm full of them today. I don't know what I've got, full of beans. We are starting off our Saturday with Captain America Civil War on ITV, 9:30 p.m. I really enjoyed Captain America Civil War. I mean, you are the Marvel man. What is your thoughts on this in comparison to the rest of the Avengers franchise?
I really like Civil War. Civil War, for all intents and purposes, as a film, does play like Avengers 2.5. Like, it does feel like the second half of a missing story from Avengers Age of Ultron, which is a problematic film in the canon anyway. I know some people go a lot more lenient on it than I do. I do think that Age of Ultron is one of the weakest Marvel films because it's just a mess. It's a mess in that way that Dark World is a mess. It's just a series of unconnected things that just seem to happen. The narrative doesn't make a lot of thematic sense. But then you get to Civil War, and a lot of that mess from Age of Ultron suddenly gets weaponized into a very coherent, very tight, very well thought out story. And I say that as someone who's a very, very big fan of the Civil War comics as well.
Interesting. I do remember watching this screening with you, and there is, and correct me if I'm wrong, if this is it, but there's that moment where Cap holds on to a helipad and a helicopter, and it's the muscle bicep moment that everyone laughed at. But I was just hooked, and I was like, this is the best Marvel film I think I've ever seen. Shallow or what?
I mean, that's the thing. So, of course, the story this time around, this is the third installment of the Captain America saga. This serves as a sequel to Age of Ultron, but also as a sequel to the prior film, Winter Soldier. It picks up the storyline of Cap's old friend being a brainwashed assassin for hire, but he may have got his memory back, he may not. That friend is then framed for his involvement in a series of terrorist attacks, including one on the sitting ruling king of Wakanda, the mysterious African nation, which causes said king's son, the Prince T'Challa, to leap into action as the Black Panther. He seems cool. This might go somewhere. Maybe there's a franchise in it. Who knows? But Cap has to protect his friend from his other friends. So, of course, Iron Man comes out of the woodwork supporting a government initiative to mandate and control the Avengers. And this leads to an ideological conflict that may, in fact, have someone else working behind the scenes.
Tony, if someone dies on your watch, you don't give up.
Who said we're giving up?
We are for not taking responsibility for our actions. This document just shifts the blame.
I'm sorry, Steve, that is dangerously arrogant. This is the United Nations we're talking about. It's not the World Security Council. It's not SHIELD. It's not Hydra.
No, but it's run by people with agendas, and agendas change.
That's good. That's why I'm here. When I realized what my weapons were capable of in the wrong hands, I shut it down, stopped manufacturing.
Tony, you chose to do that. If we sign this, we surrender our right to choose. What if this panel sends us somewhere we don't think we should go? What if there's somewhere we need to go and they don't let us? We may not be perfect, but the safest hands are still our own.
If we don't do this now, it's going to be done to us later.
I'm a huge fan of Civil War. The moment in which Paul Rudd turns into Giant Man for the first time, I legit cheered in that screening. I think we were in Dolby, Soho Squared. I was cheering my ass off.
I actually think I struggle a little bit with all the sort of Avengers Assemble kind of movies because there's so much going on and you need to know so much about them. This one for me was the one that was the easiest to follow and the easiest to kind of get your head around and understand the characters. And so for that reason, it's a big one that I could happily watch again. So that's ITV, that's 9:30 p.m. on Saturday. If you're wanting to kick your weekend off with a big blockbuster, that is going to be the movie for you. Now, moving on to Sunday, we've got a Paul Verhoeven movie that stars Kevin Bacon. It is Holoman on the Horror Channel, 10:30 p.m. I thought this was a rom-com. It's clearly a horror.
Well, this is the thing. I was really excited when I saw that this was on because I've been thinking about this movie a lot in recent months because of Lee Whannell's reimagining of The Invisible Man. And when that came out, there was an obvious comparison point with Holoman, which is what if we took the classic H.G. Wells story of The Invisible Man, of Sebastian Cain, he is in The Hollow Man. I forget the name of the character in Griffin Dunn in the Griffin something in the Invisible Man. Yeah, Griffin something. He's Professor something. Anyway, Professor something from the University of something. Anyway, he specialises in the field of something in. Anyway, the idea of taking the Invisible Man and using that, power corrupts ideology for the purposes of deep psychosis and sadosexual activities kind of starts more in the sort of 21st century with Paul Verhoeven, and then Lee Winnell obviously takes it into a lot more straight horror terrain. So this stars, of course, Kevin Bacon as Professor or Dr. Sebastian Cain, who's trying a revolutionary technique to basically render the human body invisible by exciting the cells within using a serum that causes them to vibrate and allow light through them. He, of course, undergoes the procedure himself, goes insane, and starts picking off his mates one by one when he realises that there's a potential film franchise in this. I'm kidding, there's no franchise in this.
I was like, what? Where are you going with this?
Brain activity returning to normal. Quantum signatures are stable.
Welcome back, Isabel.
Yeah, baby!
We did it.
Good work, everyone.
Yeah, that's the way it's done, man. Yeah!
So how's she doing, Doc?
Well, I think she's gonna be okay.
It's good fun, isn't it? It's Kevin Bacon. I laugh.
And do you know what? Like the sci-fi element to it, the kind of I suppose seductive element to it as well that's in this is there's like other Paul Verhoeven movies, RoboCop, Basic Instinct, Starship Troopers, those things that you can't help but see those kind of sort of links in there somewhere in his work.
Well, that's it, isn't it? It's Verhoeven's directions. So Verhoeven's films have always been slightly boundary pushing. They've always pushed the lines of good taste. You look back to the 80s and you look at things like his take on RoboCop and Total Recall and things like that, and they are very much a sort of, do you know what? Let's throw an extra nipple in there and some blood. No one will mind. Kids will love it. And this is very much one of those films, but with really good CGI for the time. So, like for the year 2000, this is really good, really good computer effects in it,
and
really
good performances. Yeah, Kevin Bacon, really good in this. I mean, all round a generally good movie. It's on quite late on Sunday night, so 10:30 p.m. It's on the Horror Channel, so make sure you guys tune in, check that one out. Now, starting your next week, we're going to go into a new realm, aren't we? We're taking you...
We're going to go through the gates, is what we're going to do.
We're going to go through the gates, yeah. On Film 4, 9 o'clock, it's Stargate. I'm going to get this right with James Spade and not David Spade.
Not David Spade. What film are we talking about that you thought was Stargate? I can't remember. This is about 3 or 4 weeks ago. You thought a movie was Stargate.
Yeah, I can't remember, but I kind of was getting to it and I could see the gate in my mind. And you've just shown me that you've got it as a tattoo. And
I should stress, I've not got the gate as the tattoo. I have the Stargate address for Earth tattooed on me. I'm very proud. It's my first ever
but
tattoo.
isn't writing forbidden? So, yeah.
Do you know what? On which note, we should explain that the plot of Stargate involves the US military recovering a 2-story giant metal ring 70 years prior from the deserts of Giza in Egypt, near the pyramids, that James Spader is brought in. He's a sort of outcast, revolutionary Egyptologist who believes in the alien astronauts theory, which is an actual theory. He believes that human advancements in certain periods in civilization were caused by aliens arriving on Earth posing as gods. He gets to actually prove his theory when he manages to open said Stargate, which forms a portal to another end of the galaxy, in which he discovers that the Egyptian god Ra is in fact an alien, and thousands of years prior had enslaved ancient Egyptians, transported them to this planet to work as his miners, and in typical US military fashion, the Americans have shown up, and they're going to introduce democracy.
Ra took him and possessed his body like some kind of a parasite looking for a host. And inhabiting this human form, he appointed himself ruler. He used the Stargate to bring thousands of people here to this planet as workers for the mines, just like the one we saw. This mineral is clearly the building block of all his technology. With this, he can sustain eternal life. Now, something happened, where is it, back on Earth? A rebellion or uprising, and the Stargate was buried there. Fearful of a rebellion here, Ra outlawed reading and writing. He didn't want the people to remember the truth.
This goes a lot better than Iraq. Just going to say that up front.
And also, for a film in 1997, I know that when I watched 94, I thought it was 97.
94?
Wow.
Yeah, I was 11.
It doesn't
I was
date.
11.
Wow, amazing. It doesn't date. What I liked about this is that this is not my type of movie, but I remember watching it years and years ago and really being hooked on it. And I can still remember it now. And that's the thing. It feels really interesting. It feels quite present. And the idea of like the Egyptian kind of side of things, the alien side of things, and James Spader, it all works. So it's a really good movie to kind of catch as well.
And it's a movie with James Spader in, so just full stop, that means watch it. I will also point out, by the way, you said 97 by accident. Funnily enough, 97 is the year that the long-running TV spin-off of this began. So
that might be what it is.
I think it went on for 14 or 15 years in total, that TV universe. It will come back one day. I can't wait. Kurt Russell's the bomb in this. Spader, of course, is the ruling king. And, of course, we can check that out on Film 4 on Monday night at 9 p.m.
And we are back on your small screen for even more movies on TV. And we're kicking off from Tuesday through till Friday. We've got a Tom Cruise 2017 movie coming up now on Film 4 at 9 o'clock. It is American Made. Now, American Made or just Tom Cruise made, as per usual?
American made, Chinese funded, possibly. Who knows in this day and age?
Who knows, indeed. So, what's this one all about?
This was one of his numerous collaborations now with Doug Liman. You know the guy who directed Live, Die, Repeat, or Edge of Tomorrow, whatever you want to call it. Who's he's got this sort of pool of filmmakers he likes to work with. Doug Liman is one of them, and of course this fits Doug Liman's sort of swing and Americana kind of vibe that he likes to go for sometimes. It's the story based on a true story, of a pilot in the 70s who wound up working for the CIA as a sort of embedded cartel drug runner. Domhnall Gleeson shows up as said CIA liaison, and of course his involvement with the CIA, which he thinks gets him out of certain scrapes, doesn't quite have the clout that he thinks it does. So it's sort of a Goodfellas-like tale of this man unraveling as he becomes more and more immersed in the criminal underworld into which he has no idea how to handle himself.
CIA owns this?
No. Independent Aviation Consultants.
IAC.
Yeah. You run the company, but after hours you work for us.
Takes pictures?
The work is covert.
Covert.
So anyone finds out about it, family, friends, even Lucy. It's Lucy, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That'd be a problem.
Oh, this is legal?
If you're doing it for the good guys, yeah. Just don't get caught.
I think when we think of a Tom Cruise movie, there's a certain type of movie that you're expecting. I mean, more recently, everyone obviously associates him with Mission Impossible. I recently watched Rain Man again for the millionth time the other day.
Oh, it's a Few Good Men for me every time. I love him in that. I want that truth.
But I think his heyday of those kind of movies that could have really seen him pick up an award, he hasn't done of late. And 2017, are we seeing American Made him revisit that kind of old school Tom Cruise, or is he still doing the guns blazing action man that he is?
I mean, I can't offhandedly recall him running in this film, if that helps, so I think this technically counts as a drama for Tom Cruise. But it has got comedic elements, it's got a sort of swinging sensibility, say, to it, that Doug Liman brings along. Domhnall Gleeson's clearly in on the sort of gag and the tone of it, and Cruise is perfectly good. I mean, Cruise is never bad in anything, ever.
No, he's not.
I don't think we can ever say he is. No, he's very good in it. The film's not amazing, but it's pretty decent. It's worth a watch for something a lot like Blow. I would say it's Tom Cruise's take on something like Blow.
Do you know what, though? I was really excited about watching Blow when that came out, and it dragged for me quite a lot.
Really?
Yeah, which was a shame. So I'd like to think that this, essentially kind of gives you that energy at the same time. You said that it's got humour in it. It sounds really, really good fun. So look, I'm down. I haven't watched it. I'll catch it. It's on Film 4, 9 o'clock on Tuesday. I reckon you guys should make up your mind and check it out too. Let's move straight on to The Stafe on Wednesday. The Stafe. Film 4. We're sticking with Film 4 again. And a 9 o'clocker as well. So Tuesday and Wednesday, 9 p.m. you want to be sticking with Film 4. This time we're going on to The Bank Job.
I'm going to point out as well, Tuesday through Friday this week, all of our movies are on Film 4. So if anyone at Film 4 wants to, chuck us any dough for product placement or anything like that, hit us up in the email. But The Bank Job, which is a 2007 period piece heist romp starring Jason Statham and Saffron Burrows, based on a true story. The story was that a group of criminals discovered that due to underground rail conditions, the alarm sensors in a rather well-to-do central London bank had to be deactivated for maintenance, thus creating a window during which an elaborate heist could be undertaken. However, as these things typically see, it quickly became a game of, well, who's robbing who?
So we're going to sit here all night making small talk?
I know you, Terry. And I know your mates. You've always been looking for the big score. The one that makes sense of everything. I have it for you.
What?
A bank.
A bank? As in Rob? How would you know about a bank?
I've been seeing this guy. Runs his own business. Security systems. Next month, they're installing new alarms in a bank in Marylebone. Seems like the trains have been setting off the tremor alarms in the vault and they've had to turn them off. So for a week or so, they won't have any.
And there's just something about the Stath in, like, the 70s, which just kind of doesn't work, but does at the same time. Like, would you just imagine Jason Statham existing in the 70s?
Well, I was going to ask the similar question to the Tom Cruise question, right? So I'm not saying that Jason Statham has got as varied and illustrious as a career as Tom Cruise, but are we looking, is vintage Stath here? Are we seeing a little bit, even though he's in the 70s, but in terms of his ability on screen, are we seeing that old school Stath that we love, or is he trying something new with this?
This is a lot more reliance on his Cockney charm. I say Cockney, he's from Chesterfield, but, his Mockney charm that he has parlayed into, such an interesting career so far, for us, juvenilely enjoyable career that he has. I think it's a good little heist romp, and, you can't go wrong with a little heist romp. You want a sort of...
No.
You want an Italian job, an Ant-Man every now and again. I want an Ocean's, not a sequel, but an Ocean's 11 or an Ocean's 8. Anytime. I like a good heist thriller. Well,
yeah, I agree.
The undertones of this.
A nice little bit of escapism, a good little bit of a throwaway movie. The Stath is always good for something like that. So that is your midweek sorted there. The Bank Job, film for 9 o'clock. Now, Thursday, we're moving on to a film. Actually, Van just reminded me of this. I actually really loved it when I watched it. And I'd forgotten that I'd ever seen this. So don't take that as any reason to not see it. That's just my terrible memory and the amount of films that we have to see on any one occasion. But this is Professor Marston and the Wonder Woman. It's on film for 11:10 p.m. on Thursday. This is essentially the story of how Wonder Woman, the character, was born. And it's not... Yeah, and it was done in a much more down-to-earth way than what we can possibly imagine from the DC universe. So this is a really lovely story set in the 1950s, I think. Is that right?
40s, 50s, thereabouts. It's
40s,
after. Obviously,
50s.
she was after Superman, anyways, which was the Superman Batman both in the 30s, I believe. So sometime.
And it's taking you back to that lovely kind of, so I suppose, origin story of the real sort of comic book side of things and how that concept came about and the women that influenced. Is it psychologist or psychiatrist?
So Professor William Marston was a revolutionary psychologist, but the actual basis of Wonder Woman, as we discover through this story, is that she is based primarily on the two women in his life, and that becomes the story of this polyamorous relationship that emerges between Marston, his wife, and his assistant, who becomes... basically, they become a triple, as it were. Instead of a couple, they become a triple, and of course, this leads to prejudices and issues of the day.
A comic book, Bill?
Well, it's perfect. I'm going to inject my ideas right into the thumping heart of America. I mean, I'll get a real artist to draw it properly.
She's an Amazon princess that lives on an island of all women.
Paradise Island.
And a man crash lands on the island.
Yeah, Steve Trevor the spy.
And she wears a burlesque outfit.
Well, it's athletic.
And silver bracelets.
They deflect bullets.
And all her friends and helpers are sorority girls who have spanking parties and everybody fights Nazis and rides in an invisible plane.
Yes.
Luke Evans as Marston there, and I think it's a great cast. Rebecca Hall, very good in it as well,
Yes.
I think. And there's I think there's a lot of period detail. I'm surprised it wasn't a bigger hit than it was, actually. I didn't expect it to be a huge thing, but I'm surprised it wasn't slightly more beloved than it was.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, actually, because it is a really lovely story, so definitely worth visiting this week if you can. Finishing up your week, I mean, this is a biggie. This is one of my favourite characters from the sadly now ended Daredevil Netflix series. I got so into that, which again, it's not really my thing, but I loved the Punisher character in there. And this is Punisher Warzone on Film 4, again, at 10:45 p.m. So this movie, Punisher, there's lots of Punisher films, right?
There's 3 Punisher films. There was the Dolph Lundgren one in the late 80s. There is Thomas Jane in 2004. And this came out in 2008, was intended as the sequel to the Thomas Jane one. At one point, they had cast Michael Keaton as the potential villain for this, who is still in the film, but he's now played by Dominic West, the character of Jigsaw. In the role of the Punisher, instead of Thomas Jane returning, because they messed him around a lot, he wound up quitting, you have Ray Stevenson, who I think most people at the time knew for the series Rome. And the story here is that Punisher accidentally kills an FBI informant during one of his many raids, his war on crime, and finds himself in the unlikely role of having to play protector for said FBI agent's widow and child, whilst at the same time taking on this ruthless villain played by Dominic West, Jigsaw, and his psychotic brother, Looney Bin Jim.
Please. Don't kill me.
Rosati. Where is he?
Yeah, man, Jigsaw. I was just with him. He was supposed to give me some dough for a job. But turns out, he don't have any anymore. He forgot he gave a whole bunch to that FBI rat. So, he went to go see Donatelli's to get it back. Something for something. Mr. Punisher, sir.
For the purposes of amusement, I'm going to point out that clip comes about 3 seconds after the Punisher takes out a parkour runner in midair with a rocket launcher, which is one of my favourite things in a movie ever. This movie is trash, garbage, and terrible, but you know what? I love it. It's violent, it's fun, it's psychotic, it's lit up entirely like a Brighton arcade. It's just a lot of fun, and Wayne Knight's in it as Microchip. I mean, what's not to love? Oh,
that's a great way. Oh, well, that is a great way to end your week. What a film there. I mean, who doesn't like to finish their Fridays on a piece of trash? Especially when there's rocket launchers and parkour people. They should be launched at parkour people on a more regular basis. Anyway, that is your movies on TV. That is your big selection from Saturday all the way through to the following Friday. We have got you sorted with all of your big hits to catch and our big recommendations. Coming up very, very shortly, we got your DVDs and Blu-rays plus a little bit of streaming too.